The house stood on a hill, old, gray, foreboding. Its windows like watchful eyes stared out at the world. The house on Whispering Pines Lane. Locals whispered tales of people gone missing, never to be seen again. Two teenagers, Sam and Emily, stood before it, drawn by the rumors, fueled by youthful curiosity. Emily shivered. "Do you think the stories are true?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Sam, ever the skeptic, scoffed. "They're just stories," he said. But even he felt a chill run down his spine. The front door creaked open as if inviting them in. Dust-filled rays of sunlight sliced through the darkness. The air inside was heavy, stagnant. It smelled of decay and forgotten memories. A grand staircase spiraled upwards into darkness. Closed doors lined the hallway, each one identical. They chose one and stepped through. The room was empty. Bare walls, a dusty floor, and then they noticed it. The door they had just entered through, it was gone. "What just happened?" Emily whispered, her voice trembling. Sam felt a knot of unease in his stomach. He didn't have an answer. They tried other doors. Each one led to a different room, but always, the way back vanished. The house was a labyrinth, a puzzle box with no apparent solution. Hours turned into what felt like days. Panic welled up in Emily's chest. "We're trapped!" she cried, her voice echoing in the silence of the house. Sam, though scared himself, tried to stay calm. "We'll find a way out," he reassured her, though his words lacked conviction. They were prisoners in a house that seemed to breathe, a house that held secrets it was unwilling to share. They explored every room, every corridor. Each door they opened brought a fresh wave of hope, followed by the crushing disappointment of a dead end. The house seemed to delight in their despair, toying with them. Exhausted, they collapsed in a room bathed in an eerie green light. A grandfather clock ticked ominously in the corner, its hands frozen in time. Emily buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Sam stared at the clock, a glimmer of an idea forming in his mind. "What if the house is playing by its own rules?" he muttered, more to himself than to Emily. Section 5. A Glimmer of Hope. He examined the room again. It was different, smaller, claustrophobic. And then he saw it. A small, almost invisible door hidden behind a tapestry. It was unlike any door they'd seen before. He pointed it out to Emily. Hope flickered in her eyes. Could this be the way out? The door creaked open, revealing a narrow, winding staircase. The air was cold, damp. It smelled different, like rain and earth. They exchanged a nervous glance. The unknown beckoned. But it was also a chance, perhaps their only one. Section 6. The Clock Tower. The staircase spiraled upwards, each step taking them further into the bowels of the house. The air grew colder, the silence thicker. Finally they emerged into a large, circular room, the clock tower. Huge gears turned, powered by an unseen force, the source of the relentless ticking that echoed throughout the house. And in the center of the room, bathed in the pale moonlight filtering through a single window, stood a figure, a woman. Old, frail, her eyes filled with a deep sadness. She turned, her gaze locking onto theirs. "You shouldn't be here," she rasped, her voice hoarse as if unused for centuries. Section 7. The Truth Revealed. The woman was the caretaker, the guardian of the house. She told them the house was alive, a being of sorrow and regret. It fed on the fear of those who dared to enter. The doors, she explained, weren't random. They were manifestations of choices. Each door represented a path, a decision. The house thrived on indecision, on fear of the unknown. Emily, tears streaming down her face, asked the question that had been haunting them. "How do we escape?" The woman smiled sadly. "You have to face your fears," she whispered. "Choose a door and don't look back." Section 8. The Final Door. They stood before a row of doors, each one identical, yet radiating a different aura. Fear, hope, despair. Sam took a deep breath. He looked at Emily, her face pale but determined. He knew what he had to do. He closed his eyes, reached out and pushed open a door. A blinding light flooded the room. He shielded his eyes, his heart pounding in his chest. When he could see again, he gasped. They were outside, standing on the familiar lawn. The house loomed behind them, silent, watchful. Section 9. A New Beginning. As they walked away, Emily glanced back at the house. It seemed smaller now, less menacing. Had it been an illusion, a nightmare? She shuddered. Some questions are better left unanswered. Sam put a comforting arm around her. He had faced his fear, made a choice, and in doing so, he had broken free from the house's grasp. They walked away from the house on Whispering Pines Lane, forever changed by their experience. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting long shadows behind them. They didn't look back. They were free.